Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. Every parent raises their children with immense love and care from childhood to adulthood, hoping that these children will take care of them in their old age. What if one day those elderly parents find out that someone has murdered their young son? In such a situation, the elderly parents' hopes are shattered, and they are left with no one to support them in their old age. I am telling this because today's case is quite similar. However, when the police revealed the killer and the reason behind the murder, everyone was shocked. This story is set in Bengaluru, the capital city of Karnataka, India. On November 30th, 2003, a girl named Shubha engaged with a software engineer named Girish. Shubha's father was a well-known lawyer in Bengaluru and had a good reputation in the legal field. Shubha was around 27 years old and was also studying law like her father. However, as she was getting older, her father was worried about her marriage. Therefore, Shubha's father soon arranged her marriage with Girish, a software engineer. In fact, the families of Girish and Shubha had known each other for a long time. On the other hand, Girish had a good job and was working at a well-known multinational company. Therefore, Shubha's father knew that if Shubha married Girish, her future would be bright. The two got engaged on November 30th, 2003, and their wedding was planned for April 2004. However, 3 days after the engagement, on December 3rd, 2003, Shubha told Girish that they should go out to a restaurant for dinner that evening. Girish was very happy because his fiancée had asked him to go out for the first time. On the 3rd, Girish first took Shubha to his office to introduce her to his colleagues. Afterward, they left and went to a restaurant on Old Airport Road for dinner. After dinner, around 9:30 p.m., Girish and Shubha started heading home. However, on the way, Shubha told Girish that she wanted to stop near the landing spot at the airport to watch airplanes take off and land. Girish agreed and parked his scooter to the side, and they stood there watching the planes and talking. Suddenly, 3 boys on motorcycles attacked Girish. Shubha couldn't face the 3 armed boys alone, so she started shouting loudly for help. Unfortunately, there was no one else around at that moment, and the 3 boys severely beat Girish before fleeing. Shubha continued to shout for help, and her cries were heard by a passing car driver, who then came to assist Shubha and Girish. Now, both the car owner and Shubha, with great difficulty, managed to get Girish into their car and drive to a nearby hospital. There, the doctor admits Girish and begins his treatment. Meanwhile, Shubha informs both her and Girish's families about the accident, and within a short time, both families arrive at the hospital. The doctors try their best throughout the night, but they are unable to save Girish. And on December 4th, they declare him dead. Since this was essentially a case of murder, Girish's father goes to the nearby police station the same day. He tells the police how his son and his fiancée had gone out for dinner the previous night, and when they were standing at a landing spot near the airport, some people attacked Girish, resulting in his death. Now the police get involved in the case and start their investigation by questioning Shubha first, as she was the only eyewitness to Girish's murder. The police question Shubha gently because she has been continuously crying after hearing about Girish's death. However, Shubha tells the police the same story that Girish's father had already told them. Therefore, the police thoroughly investigate both the crime scene and Girish's background. They even try to find out if Girish had any personal enemies, but the police couldn't find any clues to solve the case. According to reports, the police did not find any CCTV footage at that time because it was a deserted area, and it was very rare for houses to have CCTV cameras back then. Therefore, the investigative officers decided to review Girish's and Shubha engagement video. The motive behind watching the engagement video was that the investigative officer suspected someone known to Girish might have killed him. This suspicion arose because only their families knew about Girish and Shubha's trip. So, the investigative officer carefully watched the engagement video, focusing particularly on their families and relatives. However, the officer did not find any suspicious behavior among the family members and relatives. As a result, the investigative officer watched the video again, this time paying more attention to Girish and Shubha's neighbors and other guests. Yet, this effort also proved futile. In the midst of this, the officer noticed Shubha's facial expressions. She did not seem happy and was trying to maintain distance from Girish. Initially, the officer had been concentrating on the behavior and expressions of Girish and Shubha's relatives, so he overlooked Shubha herself. But when he saw Shubha looking unhappy and distancing herself from Girish in a short clip of the video, he decided to watch the engagement video again. Upon watching the entire video once more, the officer realizes that during the ring ceremony, when Shubha was sitting with Girish, she appeared very sad and was constantly trying to distance herself from Girish. This seemed very strange to the investigating officer, because whenever a boy and girl get engaged, they are usually very happy, yet Shubha did not seem happy at all. After watching the entire video again, the officer felt that perhaps Shubha was not happy with this relationship, which made him somewhat suspicious of her. However, he also knew that he couldn't take any action against Shubha based solely on a videotape. Therefore, he decided to check Shubha's call detail records. In 2003, it was very uncommon for the police to check call detail records to solve a case because this technology was quite new in India at that time. In fact, very few people in India had mobile phones in 2003. On the other hand, the investigative officer had an interest in the field of technology, so he obtained Shubha's phone call detail records. Since Shubha's family was also quite wealthy, she had a phone. Upon retrieving her phone's call detail records, it was revealed that on December 3rd, Shubha was repeatedly calling one number. The police then obtained the full details of that number and found out that it was registered to a boy named Arun Verma. After this, the police tried to find out who Arun Verma is and what his relation to Shubha is. A little later, the police discovered that Arun and Shubha both attend the same college, but Shubha is 2 years senior to Arun. After learning this, the officer decided to trace both of their locations on December 3rd. Since Shubha was with Girish, her location was found near the airport. However, when tracing Arun's location, the police found that Arun was also near the airport that night, and he was following Shubha to every location she visited. This deepened the police's suspicion, so they tracked down Arun Verma's whereabouts and summoned him to the police station for questioning. When the police asked Arun where he was on December 3rd, Arun said, "On December 3rd, I was out of town for some work." As soon as Arun said this, the investigative officer immediately knew Arun was lying and would never tell the truth if questioned directly. So they let him go but tapped his phone beforehand. The officer suspected that Arun and Shubha might be involved in Girish's death. However, they couldn't present Arun and Shubha as guilty in court, based solely on their locations and call details from December 3rd. Therefore, they put Arun's phone under surveillance, believing that if he had killed Girish, he would eventually get caught. But right after Arun reached home from the police station, the first call he made was to Shubha. Arun tells Shubha over the phone that the police called him in today and questioned him about Girish's death. Shubha asks if he told the police anything. Arun replies that he didn't reveal anything and managed to mislead the police, telling them that he was out of town on December 3rd. After hearing this recording, the police's suspicions are completely confirmed, and they arrest both Arun and Shubha. They are brought to the police station where the call recording, call detail records, and location history are presented to them. Initially, both try to mislead the police. However, after some time, Arun Verma's courage breaks, and he admits in front of the police that they both killed Girish. The story that unfolds afterward shocks everyone. 19-year-old Arun and 27-year-old Shubha had been in a relationship for the past 2 years. It's surprising that Arun, in his teenage years, was in love with a woman 7 years older than him. According to reports, Shubha also wanted to marry Arun. However, their dream remained unfulfilled because one day Shubha's father found out about their relationship. He was not at all pleased with this, because Arun was much younger than Shubha. As a result, he hurriedly arranged Shubha's engagement to Girish, which took place on November 30th. However, Shubha was not happy with this engagement. Although Girish was an educated and well-earning man, Shubha did not like Girish's simplicity and his simple lifestyle. Because of this, she felt that Girish was not a good fit for her life, and that she could not spend her entire life with him. It even came to light during the investigation that Shubha had told her beautician at the time of her engagement, "I will not marry Girish. Either I will run away from home before the wedding, or I will kill Girish." She had gotten engaged to Girish under pressure from her father, but now she had made a plan with Arun to kill Girish. This is why she kept calling Arun repeatedly, and Arun also decided to execute Shubha's plan. Arun then hired a local goon named Venkatesha with the help of his cousin Dinesh. Shubha planned to take Girish out of the house on the pretext of having dinner on the evening of December 3rd, and then, on the way back home, she would take Girish to a deserted place at the airport's landing spot. Since it was dark and quiet at that place, it would be easy to kill Girish there. According to this plan, on the 3rd, after dinner, Shubha told Girish that she wanted to watch airplanes take off and land. Girish agreed to his fiancée's request, and they both reached the landing spot. However, throughout this journey, Shubha was informing Arun of her location through calls and messages. A short time later, Arun, Dinesh, and Venkatesha arrive at the flight landing spot. Dinesh and Venkatesha then violently attack Girish on the head with an iron rod. As a result of the attack, Girish collapses on the spot, bleeding profusely from his head injury, and he immediately loses consciousness. When the four are certain that Girish is on the verge of dying, Arun and his companions leave the scene, discarding the iron rod in the bushes along the way. After a considerable amount of time following Girish's injury, Shubha seeks help, and the rest of the story is known to you. Despite this, Girish's killers evaded the police for nearly 50 days, until Shubha and her accomplices were arrested on January 25, 2004, when the reason behind Girish's murder and the identity of his killers were discovered. The news spread widely in the state media. The police gathered all evidence and witnesses to prepare their charge sheet, which was then presented in court. The case dragged on in the normal court for a long time before it was transferred to a fast-track court. Even in the fast-track court, the trial continued from 2007 to 2010. In May 2010, the fast-track court sentenced Shubha, Arun, and their companions to life imprisonment. However, in July 2010, Shubha filed a bail application with the Karnataka High Court, which upheld the lower court's decision and rejected her bail plea. Left with no other option, Shubha then filed her bail application with the Supreme Court. In August 2014, the Supreme Court granted bail to Shubha for a period of time. However, to resolve this case, we will appreciate the investigative officer who solved this murder case by watching a video recording of the engagement. But on the other hand, if Shubha had the courage to tell her father that she didn't like Girish and wouldn't be happy with him in her life, perhaps Girish would be alive today. Even if Shubha had shared this with Girish, maybe he would have convinced her father. The tragic aspect of this story is that by the time Girish's killers were sentenced to life imprisonment, Girish's father had already passed away. So with that, the B.V. Girish murder case comes to an end right here. Friends, I have a small request for you. I want to let you know that behind the David True Crime channel, there is a team of 5 people who work hard to bring you the best quality content through thorough research. If you appreciate our efforts, you can support us according to your preference by visiting the link provided in the description. Your small support will motivate us to work effectively on the channel. Thank you. Additionally, if you want to recommend any case for us to make a detailed video on, you can write the name of that case in the comment section. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you.